Morning.
How about that? Testing 1, 2. Well, yeah. I hope you haven't started recording yet. I hope you haven't started YouTube yet. Good one. Let's all stand, please. Together we'll sing Surely Presence.
Surely the presence of God is in this place. I can feel God's mighty power and grace. I can feel the brush of angels' wings. I see glory on each face. Surely the presence of God is in this place. Surely the presence of God is in this place.
All right, and together now we're going to state our mission statement.
We welcome all as we create loving community, teach universal truth, practice spiritual principles, and live life abundantly.
Thank you. Please be seated. Welcome to Unity of Day this morning, and welcome to those of you who are watching on Facebook and YouTube. Wow, I think the sound is better today. I came in yesterday and I channeled Al Smith. He was a sound man for years and years and years. And so I channeled Al and Al said, "Look over there." And I pushed a button, and all of a sudden, this speaker started working again, and it was like a miracle. Thank you, Al. Welcome this morning. It's so good to see all of you. Wow, there's some folks I haven't seen here for a little while. Welcome home. It's good to see you. Unity was founded upon prayer. Charles and Merle Fillmore believed in the power of affirmative prayer to heal every aspect of our lives. And we begin every service with prayer. If you have a prayer request, there are forms in the seat pockets in front of you or behind you. Fill out one of those forms and put it in the offering basket when it comes around. If you're online, you can go to the website and there's a prayer request page that you can fill out a prayer request there. And we will hold you in prayer for 30 days and then send your name forward to Silent Unity out in Missouri, and they will pray with you for another 30 days. Is it time? Yes. Let's begin this service with living and loving God. This morning we are here. We are awake, alive, alert, enthusiastic, and ready to be a part of a spiritual community that is a blessing to each other, a blessing to ourselves, and a blessing to the world. We are open and receptive to the living Spirit of truth, and we simply say yes to that inner urging to do that which is ours to do, uniquely ours to do. Each one of us is a part, a face of God, a facet of the great unknown. And so as we say yes, we become known to who and what we really are, part of that one presence and one power that God is. Thank you, infinite Spirit. Amen and amen. Amen. All right. Well, we have an affirmation for you this morning. You're going to hear it numerous times. That's a promise. You're going to hear it until it sinks in. Okay? I draw deeply from my source of life and inspiration. Life and inspiration are capitalized. Do you know what it is? Yeah. It's the big life, the life of God, the inspiration. So let's say that together. I draw deeply from my source of life and inspiration. All right, we're ready for that. Do we have any visitors here for the first time. If you're here for the first time, we invite you to raise your hand because we have a guest packet to give to you, a welcome packet to give to you. Anybody here for the first time? No? Okay. No takers on that? Ask for one after the service if you're too shy to ask for it now. But if you want one now, it's not too late. No, I know you guys. Okay. All right. Well, welcome to the Visitors from Meeting Online. We can't get you a packet, but if you come on in, please. All right. Featured announcement. Oh. There's something about a retirement party next week. After the service, I heard that they're throwing a party and I know none of the details, so I cannot share those with you because apparently it's a secret. Okay. So be here after the service next week to Reverend Sue and I will be our last Sunday here as your minister and associate minister, and we'll go from there. So everybody's invited. All right. Now we're all going to stand together and we're going to sing the healing song. Go ahead. Let's stand and sing that healing song.
Joy fills every cell of my body. Every cell is alive with love. I relax into the healing process. I allow spirit to do what it does. Joy fills every cell of my body. Every cell is alive with love. I relax into the healing process. I allow spirit to do what it does. Peace fills every cell of my body. Every cell is alive with love. I relax into the healing process. I allow spirit to do what it does. God fills every cell of my body. Every cell is alive with love. I relax into the healing process. I allow spirit to do what it does. Joy fills every cell of my body. Every cell is alive with love. I relax into the healing process. I allow spirit to do what it does.
Thank you. Please be seated.
Good morning. Our daily word for today is inspiration. I think I just heard that somewhere. Okay, and the affirmation is, I am grateful to those who inspire me. I admire and respect the sacred calling and work of innovative and groundbreaking thinkers and leaders. The work they have done to forge new paths and lead humanity in new directions inspires me. I've heard inspiration described as the breath of God, an inner quickening. This quickening is mine as I forge new paths and boldly journey forward, creating my life anew. To keep divine inspiration flowing, I make time to rest in contemplative stillness. I begin each day with prayer for a receptive mind and heart. I pray for the courage and clarity to release my rigid expectations. I live in a state of gratitude for the inspiration that flows from God and the opportunity to share it. And from Genesis 2:7, then the Lord God formed man from the dust of the ground and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and the man became a living being. Today's word is inspiration. And we get to join in song once again. I invite you to stand and join in singing, God is my source.
God is my source, God is my power, God gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings. God gives me everything I need. Love. God is my source. Love is my power. Love gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings. Love gives me everything I need. Peace is my source. Peace is my power. Peace gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings. Peace gives me everything I need. God is my source. God is my power. God gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings. God gives me everything I need. God gives me everything I need. God gives me everything I need.
And this is the time when we prepare for a few moments of meditation.
In the stillness of this moment, there is peace. There is peace. In the stillness of this moment, there is peace. There is peace. And I rest and trust and breathe and know that in the stillness of this moment there is peace. In the stillness of this moment, there is love. There is love. In the stillness of this moment, there is love. There is love. And I rest and trust and breathe and know that in the stillness of this moment there is love. I am peace. I am love. I am peace. I am.
In the stillness of this moment, I am peace. I invite you now, if you haven't already done so, close your eyes and take a deep breath. And as you release the breath, just know that this breath of God is breathing you. That presence and power that we call God is within us and all around us. And so anytime we become still, we become quiet, we can feel that presence. The presence of God feels like peace. It feels like joy. It feels like love. Although there may be times when that presence of God will call you feels like anger. When you've been depressed, when your heart is burdened, when you can no longer think clearly. Moving into anger feels like God calling you out of that place where you have no power to a place of greater power. And still God calls you. Do not stay in anger, beloved. Move. Always move closer to a place of peace. Move into hope. From hope, you can move into greater and greater joy. So wherever you are in your life right now, be still. Be still and know that God is mighty in the midst of you, always calling you to peace, to love, and to joy. And we, in our humanness, resist. And then we surrender. And for these next few moments, allow my words to be the words of your own heart. Infinite Spirit, here I am. Move through me now. Move through my soul, move through my heart, move through my mind. Allow me to open to the greater truth, the greater reality than the one that I see around me now. Yes, it is real, but it is an illusion in that it is always changing. It is always changing. And so move through me now and allow me to feel the unchanging, eternal love of God, the unchanging, eternal peace of God. Move through me now, Spirit. Awaken in me a desire to be inspired, to feel the thoughts of God flowing through me, the clear thoughts, the loving thoughts, the compassionate thoughts, so that I may feel love and compassion and be wise in every day in all of my activities. Infinite Spirit, move through me now. For these next few moments, we will be still. And we will feel that presence of God. That unexplainable, ever-present, always loving center of peace. It's at the core of our being. That is who we really are. In the silence. In the silence. And so let us take a breath together now, knowing that we are indeed breathing the breath of God, the life of God. It's flowing through you right now and always. The love of God is flowing through each one of us. Focus on that now just for a moment. To the right of you, to the left of you, in front of you, behind you. Allow the love that you are to flow to everyone in this space, to everyone in the internet world, to everyone in the world. That's how the love of God shows up. That's how the the peace of God shows up, and the compassion and all the kindness that we attribute to God, it is through you. It is through each of us. And so today, with this awareness, we say yes. Yes, infinite spirit, moving through me now, moving through each of us now. We are one with the one presence and power that God is. God the good. And so it is. Thank you, infinite spirit. Amen. And amen.
In the stillness of this moment, there is love, there is love. In the stillness of this moment, there is love, there is love. And I rest and trust and breathe and know that in the stillness of this moment there is love. I am, I am, I am, I am peace. I am, I am, I am, I am love. I am, I am, I am, I am peace. I am, I am, I am. There's a place I can go where those peaceful waters flow. When things are hard, I go and sit a spell. Throw my legs over its rail. I can dip my whole hand in and taste the healing waters from the well. The waters is my soul, fed by a stream where the living waters flow. Beyond right, beyond wrong, love's current runs deep and long, inviting all to linger at the well. A spring that fills the world, where it starts, no one can tell. Its soothing waters never can run dry. Its tributaries gone, connect the hearts of all mankind. We will all return there by and by. Sometimes life seems so cruel, leave me wondering who wrote these rules. Confused and tired, I thirst to hear its friend. Hear a voice telling me there are things you cannot see. Find comfort in the water from the well. The well Fed by a stream where the living waters flow. Beyond right, beyond wrong, what's buried runs deep and long. Finding all to linger at the well. Beyond right, beyond wrong, will share this cup so strong. When drawing from the water of the well.
Thank you, Doug. Wow, oh, here we are, drawing water deep from the well. From the Hebrew Bible, we read, if we had our glasses on, we could read. Isaiah 12:3. With joy you will draw water from the well of salvation. With joy you will draw water from the well of salvation. I like the joy part of that. I like the joy part. I read that to you knowing that might be a trigger for some people. The Hebrew Bible, the Bible. You know, the Bible has been used in a lot of traditional religions, Christian religions, to beat people up. It's been abused. It's been used to abuse other people. And so some people zone out when they hear scripture from the Bible. I tend to zone out when I hear the Old Testament, the New Testament, not quite as much. If you zoned out, come on back, please. Come on back. We're going to look at this in another way. With joy you will draw water from the well of salvation. How many people love that idea of salvation? The salvation that we've been taught in our Christian churches is that Jesus died on the cross for our sins. That's what gives us salvation. And so a lot of people zone out when they hear that. They say, well, I'll read that stuff anymore, you can't teach me that. I don't like it. And so they turn off the sound and everything else. I invite you, tune back in, come on back. Because today we're going to look at a different meaning for the word of salvation. We're going to look at that a little bit differently. Sometimes you have to sift through a lot of dirt to find the gold, right? You got to sift through the dirt. All right, so the Revealing Word is a collection of Charles Fillmore. He's the co-founder of Unity. It's a collection of his metaphysical interpretations about different things. And Charles Fillmore wrote this about how he interprets salvation. It's the restitution of man to his spiritual birthright, regaining conscious possession of the God-given attributes, of his God-given attributes. Regaining conscious possession of his God-given attributes. And he goes on to say, salvation is based solely on an inner overcoming a change in consciousness. That's quite a different meaning from what we were taught in traditional churches about what salvation was. For me, it gives a whole different meaning to the scripture from Isaiah. With joy you will draw water from the wells of salvation. In other words, you will draw deeply from the well. With joy, we have a change in consciousness. With joy, we have a change in consciousness. We take conscious possession of our God-given attributes and qualities. Those are ours. That's who we are. We know that we are spiritual beings having a human experience, and we can draw upon the inspiration and all of the qualities that God is for ourselves. They can be expressed in, through, and as us. That's who we are. That's what we are. With joy, we can draw upon that. We can draw upon that. So, I love wells. There's a picture of a well on the PowerPoint. Those of you out in internet land just have to imagine a picture of a well. There's a picture of a well in my mind. A well is a wonderful metaphor for going deep within ourselves. It's going into the depths. It's just like the water well is a deep, unseeable place. You can't see down there. It's a deep, unseeable place, but you trust that pure water is down there. It's sweet, it's clear, it's pure. You know that it comes up and it nourishes you, it gives you life. And so that's kind of a good metaphor for the wellspring of spirit that is within us as well. When I was a teenager, 14 exactly, my family moved into a 100-plus-year-old farmhouse up in Dialton. If you don't know where Dialton is, just head toward Northampton and turn left. And if you don't know where Northampton is, head toward Springfield and turn left and then turn left. This 100-plus-year-old farmhouse had a 25-foot deep hand-dug well. Now, back in the day, before they knew any better at all, they put the septic system right next to the well. Yeah, they did a 25-foot down septic well. And so, as soon as they did the testing, they found out it was contaminated. My dad, bless his heart, rest his soul, for I don't remember how long, it was months and months and months. Every day, he came to Dayton to work, and he brought back 2 big 5-gallon jugs of water for us to drink. All of our water had to be boiled, because you just couldn't do anything with that contaminated water. So that went on and on while we saved our money to have a new well drilled on the other side of the house. Finally, they got the money to get that well drilled. They brought that huge rig in. It was right outside my bedroom window. It went kabang, kabang, kabang. Have you ever heard about it? It's really loud. It went kabang, kabang, day after day. Anyway, it went on all the first day, and they brought some sludge up, but nothing like water. They came back the next day, bang, all day long. It just went down and went down and went down. They brought a little bit of water up, but there was no pressure. They couldn't use it. It was 100 feet deep at that point, 100 feet. On the other side of the house, 25 feet. On this side, 100 and still no water. So they started to get kabang, 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 and then we heard this really loud noise and all these men shouting. They were so excited. We ran outside. They had hit water. They hit an underground river. And the pressure from that underground river shot that drill bit clear up out of the well. And it looked like Old Faithful. It was like Old Faithful. The water was shooting, and it's like, wow, wow, that's amazing. My parents hadn't exactly planned for that. They hadn't planned for that. I think I told the whole story. I was only supposed to tell half the story, so you'll have to forgive me because I'm going to repeat it again later. This process of drilling a well is truly fascinating. This process of going within to find that inner well is also fascinating. A water well gives you water, hopefully. And the well of living water provides something that is just as life-giving. According to Mr. Fillmore, the well of living water in man is a fount of inspiration within his consciousness, which flows forth passionately, purposely, majestically, vitalizing, and renewing mind and body. That's the well that is within you. That's the wellspring. And just like a water well can be contaminated, so can your well of inspiration. So can your well of thinking. Your thinking can be contaminated. How do you know if your thinking is contaminated? Because you don't feel good. You have negative thoughts. You're upset. You're angry. The well of the Spirit of God doesn't have that kind of water in it, right? But we can contaminate our own wells with our thinking sometimes. Those negative emotions clearly indicate that you have habits of thought that would really be helpful if you changed them. And because form follows thought, we attract into our lives all that's in there. If the things that you have going on in your life are things that you don't want, that's a sure sign that there's contamination in the well of your thinking somewhere. So, there you have it. That's the way it is. Life isn't the way you want it to be. Yet. I love that word, yet. It's just as good as yes. yet. So what we usually do when we have a contaminated well is we go somewhere else like my dad did, and we go get water until we can resolve the situation. We go to other sources. We go to what we do when we have contaminated thinking, we're upset, and we have problems, is we go usually to someone else just like that, and we ask them for their water, give me some advice, give me some answers so that I can clear this up. And sometimes that works. Sometimes people have pretty good advice, and it can be very helpful. The only thing about that is it's usually advice based on incomplete information, because no one knows you, no one knows where you've been, no one's walked in your shoes, no one really knows what's going on. You may not, we don't even know what's going on in our own lives, much less giving that a little bit of information to a stranger and asking them to help solve that. So the information that we get may or may not be as helpful as we would like for it to be. The best advice that you can get from another person, if you go to someone else, the best water they can draw from their well to give to you is to tell you to go within. Go within to your own well. Be still. Listen. And they can help you to learn how to do that. But I would run from anybody who told me what to do. I always do. It's called oppositional defiance, and I've got a big dose of it. Tell me what to do and what's not. It's just a fact. And so that's kind of the way it is. You want to get to know. You've got to dig in your own well. You've got to go to the wellspring of your own inner spiritual being to get good, clear, pure thoughts, the thoughts of God. Did you know that the way that they drill wells is to use diamonds? Diamonds are really incredibly hard, and they put them on the bit, industrial strength, industrial size diamonds, and use that, and it can drill right through rock, anything. Obviously, it can go through anything. And so that's what they use to drill a well when they're looking for water. We have something like that we can use when we're drilling our spiritual well. We can go down and use diamond bits that we call affirmations. We call these affirmations. And so your spiritual well isn't the kind of well that you have to work real hard to drill. And it's not hard to draw water from that well either. You've got these diamond affirmations. Let's see now. We had one there at the beginning. Does anybody remember what it was? I draw deeply from my source of life and inspiration. I draw deeply from that. And sometimes it doesn't seem like you can say anything positive, but you can always say, I know spiritual law, I understand it, I know the law of attraction, and it's working for me now. I'm always able to change my thinking. That doesn't ever change. I can change my thoughts. I have the power in every moment to be still and to listen. And if I can't hear spirit within me, I can go somewhere else and just say something that I've practiced, knowing there is one presence and one power in the universe active in my life, and that's God. God's good. Start learning some affirmations that really resonate with you. They will drill down into spirit, or drill up into spirit, wherever you think spirit is. It will bring you into that well, into that deep wellspring of the living water that is spirit, that's within you, already there, always accessible, always ready for you. It's like that water pressing up through the ground. It's there, waiting to spring up. And we need to begin looking for that. We need to begin looking for that. So those diamond affirmations are, that's how you drill sometimes. So when drilling a water well, have you ever seen somebody use divining rods? Or dowsing rods? I was going to go out in my yard and look for one, and I decided not to. That was a little too much. So it can be just a Y-shaped stick with a stick on the end, and they walk around and they hold it very loosely in their hands. And when it comes to water, the stick dips down. It just does that. And so they know that's That's where we're going to drill. We're going to do that's fascinating. And so they don't waste a lot of time looking at other places. They just drill down like a dowsing rod and trying tells them to drill. And how do they know when they've done a good job? Of course, they get clean, pure, sweet, precious water out of the ground, life-giving water. And we have that capacity as well. We can ask Spirit, Spirit, guide me, show me the way. Be with me now, move through me, and allow me to go deeper into my own spiritual well. Bring thoughts, inspired thoughts into my mind so that I will move through this situation in the clearest, easiest possible way, because it doesn't have to be hard. Life does not have to be hard. There are challenges, and we can move through them with as least resistance as possible. So that's how you know when you've gotten deep into your own spiritual well, is that things start working for you. Things become clearer, sweeter, purer. Some inspired thoughts, that's just the way they are. That's how you know they're inspired thoughts. So if you have a shallow water well, what happens when the rains stop and things start to dry up? If your well isn't deep enough, you run out of water. So if we don't dig deeply enough and put our focus on our attention on spiritual matters is what makes us deeper. If we don't pay enough attention to how we're feeling and to our thinking, then when tough times come and a drought of all the good things comes, we feel like it's all dried up, spirit's dried up, I can't feel it. That's when we feel depression. That's when we feel like hopelessness, because we're not tuned in, we're not drawing from that living well. We're not drawing from it when it's there and ready for us all the time. Those feelings are telling you, those feelings of depression or sadness or anxiety, they're telling you that you're not drawing from the well, the living well right now, that you're drawing from somewhere else, drawing from ideas of the world, thoughts from the world, but not drawing from that living spirit within you, because that's always sweet and pure and clear and it's always there. So that's what happens. And when that does, you can notice it and say, oh, I'm not drawing from my own deep well anymore. I'm going to deny right now. That's what Charles Fillmore called a denial. This situation has no power over me. It has no power over me. It's a temporary thing. It's a part of the illusion of life. I can choose again. And I am going to affirm that I am a part of Source. I am a part of God. God is right here with me. I can feel that presence. Sometimes I may not be able to feel it right now, but I will feel it again, because it's not going anywhere. That presence and power is part of me. God is part of me. I am part of God. I will feel that again. And I am just going to move through this situation because Spirit is right here with me always. I have the power of conscious awareness and the power of conscious choice. You all do. We all do. Sometimes we forget that. Remember that the source of the unseen spiritual river of inspiration knows your name, knows you through and through, adores you, absolutely loves you, will never leave you, is always there for you. Set your intention to draw from that well of living water. That's the way you want to be. That's the way I want my life to be. I draw from that deep well of my own inner spiritual wisdom. I wait for that inspiration to come to me. And just like we need to sometimes, remember the old pumps that you had to prime? You had to pump that, and then nothing would come out. You had to go get a little bit of water to pour in there to get it started. Some of you were probably too young to remember that, or didn't develop country. Sometimes we need to prime the pump of our own spiritual deep well. Sometimes we get so far afield that we need to come back and put something in there to get it started with. And that, we prime the well with appreciation. When we find something to appreciate, no matter what it is, no matter That helps to bring us back to find that well and to dig and to draw deeply from it. So what can we appreciate in every moment? Maybe not the circumstances that we're in, maybe not, but we can appreciate that Spirit is always present. We can appreciate that we can make the choice to appreciate. We can always find something around us. The love in our heart, the love that we've received, the love that we give, the fact that we're alive is something to appreciate. Life is such a precious gift. When it doesn't feel that way, it's because we're not drawing deeply from that living water, the spiritual water that's there. It's there. Draw deeply from the well. Allow Spirit to wash over you in and through, and as you let that move you, let it carry you forth in the times when you can't carry on. Let it move you and lift you up like a river that will flow forcefully, peacefully in the direction that you want it to take you. Vitalizing and renewing your mind and your body, Charles Fillmore said. Today we would say, things are always working out for me. That's just a very short affirmation, and it's true. It may not seem like it, but it is true. Because have you noticed you're here now? And this is a pretty good place to be. Things are always working out for you. So, how was it for my family? On the afternoon of that third day, we heard that loud noise, that shouting, that excitement. We went out there, we stood there and watched it. It was a miracle, it seemed like. There was so much pressure. That's the way it is when we tap into that spiritual well. There is so much. Sometimes, if you've had that experience, where there was a drought in your spiritual life, and then you all of a sudden had that mystical experience, that's tapping into that well. And it rushes up, and we don't need that every day. We don't need to have that mystical experience every day. Instead, we can draw from the well consistently and steadily, and that way we don't have to have those droughts. The droughts motivate us to get back into the everyday flow of Spirit moving through us, and through us, and as us. So, this week, I invite you to be restored to your spiritual birthright by drawing deeply from the living well that is within you. We want to see that one more time. I draw deeply from my source of life and inspiration. Let's say it again together.
I draw deeply from my source of life and inspiration.
And so it is, and so we let it be. God bless you. Thank you. Wow. And things are going to be coming up where we're going to have an opportunity to draw more deeply from our well. So I'll just throw down the gauntlet and invite you to that challenge. This is a time when we receive our love offerings and our tithes. If you have a gift today that you'd like to give to in the form of something like this, please hold it between your hands. Otherwise, just hold the love in your heart. And when that basket comes by, put that in there. Let it multiply and move out from this space. I'll say our affirmation and then I'll invite you to say with me. Divine love, through me, blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Let's say that together.
Divine love, through me, blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Gratitude for me, gratitude behind me, gratitude to the left of me, gratitude to the right of me, gratitude above me, gratitude below me, gratitude within me, gratitude all around me. I'm so grateful, I'm so grateful, I'm so grateful, I'm so grateful, I'm so grateful. 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 I'm so grateful.
We are so grateful. So now we're going to bless these gifts. I'll come on back here. And so Spirit, we are grateful for these gifts. Grateful for the givers that we feel. Remember that we are all one. It's one presence and power. Everything that we share returns to us multiplied. Thank you, Infinite Spirit. We're going to have some transformational opportunities now. Yes, indeed. Stay tuned. Don't tune out yet, you internet folks. The rest of you have pocket doors. Don't let anybody out. I want to say the talent show was a huge success. Thank you, Greg Foster, for all the work that you put in on that. Thank you, Judy Holt, for being on the sound, and Ben for being here. And Joanne, thanks for coming all the way to Tennessee. That's probably the first anyone's ever come to about a television. And next year, we're going to call it something different. It's going to be called Unity's Got Talent. So next year, we'll get to see the great team do another one of his magic tricks. Watch this, watch this.
I think Greg did that a little
And our dear friend Vivian was the winner of the raffle.
Is that like the third time you won it? Lost track.
And I heard they have a new name for it for next year.
Well,
Unity's Got Talent.
okay.
Yeah, that's the new name for the talent show.
I think I said that already.
I must not have been paying attention. I was probably reading ahead to what I was supposed to say, which is that every Wednesday, the Sacred Feminine Women's Group meets in person right here, Wednesdays at 10:30. And that is our dear friend Colleen, who's running that. So Women of Unity, come join.
In case that some members of our community can no longer drive at night because of night vision issues, we looked into that and figured out the best way to deal with that is to come up with a Need a Ride, Give a Ride to Night Events program. There are some forms just like this out in the social area. They're pink. They're on a little clipboard. If you need a ride to night events, or if you would like to provide a ride to somebody else, fill out one of these forms. Circle need or give so that we'll know which one it is. What else will we know? And then Catherine, Lisa, she's back there. She's going to be sorting through them and matching people out of the hallway. So it'll be private. Your name's not going to be posted on. So it'll be private. And if you'd like to participate in that, please do. Because it's such a joy to come to the evening events. And we want to make it possible for everyone. So thank you for being willing to do that.
Yes, thank you. And speaking of evening events, our next drumming will be Wednesday, March 9th at 6 p.m. And they're going to meet here in the sanctuary because, as you all know, the sound in here is absolutely awesome. So
And the group is growing, and so they have more space. So
yeah, the drum circle did participate at the
talent
channel show. Was awesome.
It was.
Yeah.
Okay, so today's the last day to turn in your reaffirmations for memberships. If you haven't done that yet, there are some forms out there in the social area. Or you could write it on a prayer request form right there and stick it out. The offering's not ready. Missed your chance. No, seriously, put it on the office door and we'll get that reaffirmation for membership. All right?
Were you gonna?
Colleen.
Yeah.
Colleen, would you come up and join us for a moment? Right here. You're going to get an update now on what's going on with the transition team.
Oh, God, you guys are beautiful. I know I say that every time I get up here, but it's true. I get befuddled. Yeah. Aren't they amazing? Yeah, so we are officially on the Unity Worldwide website, and the blast has gone out that we're looking for a new pastor. So I loved the thought of the divining rod that she was saying today. So consider ourselves one giant divining rod, and really start putting in your brain and into the universe what we're looking for. We can't have the same one, but we could have similar qualities. So think about what you want to see in a new minister and put it out there, because the power of this group is mind-boggling. So we're on the track. Thank you for your love and support. And
Christine, for leading that team, because that's
Yes, thank you very
that's a
much.
lot of work. Well, I guess what we have to do is we want to say goodbye to the people out there.
Yes,
Is that what we want to do?
yes.
And to all of you, we have the same message every single week.
You are the light of the world.